The following is rated S for spoilers.
That's an impounded Imperial ship. What's your call sign, pilot?
We have to go.
It's
Say something. Come on.
Rogue One.
Rogue One? There is no Rogue One.
Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex.
My name is Graham.
And today we are discussing Rogue One's 2022 IMAX Re-Release.
Yeah.
The return of Rogue One, not Jedi.
No.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Graham, it's been a minute since we've been in the studio. We were out last week. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's been just crazy few weeks, and I've missed out on quite a bit, but I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously we've already seen Rogue One. It came out in 2016. I've seen it countless times.
Several times.
It's a perfect movie. What was it like going back, seeing it again? What are your thoughts on Rogue One?
Not gonna lie, I've seen it so many times.
Right.
I don't think I've actually watched it though. Probably in a year or two. Like,
I
for real.
thought you were going to say, like, I've seen it, but I've never actually watched it. Like, it's just
all the way through. No.
Okay.
I've watched it all the way. We saw it in theaters. Yeah, no. Like, like watching it when we did the other day, I felt like I was watching it for the first time. Like, a part of me, like, I knew like what was coming up and stuff, but like a big thing with me is I don't ever watch like movies over and over and over again unless I like absolutely love them because they just get repetitive. I know what's coming. But dude, this was actually so much fun to like watch in theater again. And I honestly, I doubt I saw this at IMAX in 2016.
No.
So like seeing it at IMAX this time around, it was actually so much fun. It was a little, like its own like little experience. It was great.
Yeah. I even told you, like, on our way back, like, I was like stressed out. Like, I knew it was happening. Like, it wasn't a surprise. I knew it was going to happen. Like, seeing the Battle of Scarif on the big screen was just like, I was so invested in everything that was going on. Of course, it's just like me, like, I can't just watch a movie and like enjoy it. Like, I just have to like analyze, like, oh, that was a cool cut, or wow, that's a beautiful shot, or oh, I like that line of dialogue. And so like I just was like, I was just fully invested.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I said it in the past. Like, I think Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It's not the best, but it's my favorite, I think.
Okay. I could throw that in the top few. I mean, honestly, like,
it's at least my top three.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have New Hope and Empire are also
right. Just like the classics.
I mean, if I have to rank
them,
them, like, they're all like, we're splitting hairs at that point. But yeah, I don't know. I loved Rogue One. I think it is a masterpiece by Disney.
Yeah. So well written, so well shot. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a perfect story. And like, I don't know, like, you have like, in terms of Disney movies, Disney Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Things
haven't been the best.
The only good ones have been Rogue One, Force Awakens. Some people like Solo now that it's been some time, but people hated Solo at the time. That's grown on me, whatever. But really, there's like two that they've done well. And Force Awakens, it's literally just A New Hope, but worse. Like, it's not even like slightly different. So I don't know. I just watching this movie, that all I could think of the entire time was, this is like the perfect mix between what Disney was trying to do with Star Wars and what makes Star Wars, if that makes any sense. Like, it was a perfect balance between the two.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think the IMAX experience like changed your opinions on Rogue One?
I mean, no, it always stood as like one of the better movies that they have released, especially when it comes to the Disney movies. Like, it's definitely like the best one, I think, of the Disney releases. But it was just, honestly, it was just totally different experience.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, IMAX really is. And I always like heard that, like, I never experienced IMAX much growing up, or like until like probably the past few years of my life. But like, I always say like, oh, it's a different experience. You experience the sound, the screen, like everything. Dude, you really do. Like, it is, this movie was honestly so much better watching it in IMAX. And I mean, I wouldn't say it changed anything that I thought previously of the movie, but it definitely enhanced everything and made it all better.
No, I totally agree. Rogue One was directed by Gareth Edwards. Story was written by John Kroll and Gary Whitta. Screenplay by Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy. Starring Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Alan Tudyk. And I don't know how I never noticed this, but Mads Mikkelsen and Riz Ahmed are also in it, and it's not like they like look particularly different, but like I don't know. I was watching this.
Isn't that Galen? Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, oh hey, like that's Mads Mikkelsen. How did I miss that he was in this? Or like,
bro, I didn't even know he was literally in Doctor Strange. Wait, now
yeah,
I do.
He plays the bad guy. I mean, yeah, he's a very
bro. What?
He's
like a familiar face, but like genuinely, like I was thinking, like I don't know what he's ever been in. Like I knew what he. Looked like, who he was in it, but
he's been in a lot of things, and I was surprised. Riz Ahmed, I also really like. As Sound of Metal is a fantastic movie that came out in 2021. No, 2020. It came out in 2020. Sound of Music. Yeah, it was about a drummer who goes deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He's been in a few other things, and I was watching. I was like, oh hey, like that's. I don't know why I never put those two things together, but I was very impressed. And there's a lot of other people in this movie as well, but those are just a few of the highlights. Acting in this movie, I think, is one of the things that really makes this movie work and like be what it is. I feel like everyone had amazing performances across the board. What are your thoughts? I mean, I noticed that my opinion this time around changed a little bit, but what are your thoughts on the CG Tarkin and Leia in the movie?
Like I when Leia came on, I was like really looking for it. Like the tricky thing is like, if you know what's coming, or you know like it is CG, which obviously anyone watching is gonna be like, oh yeah, that's clearly not her.
Right.
But like honestly, just to like the normal audience viewer, I feel like it's actually not bad compared to what I thought in the past, where I was just like, yeah, that's tough. Like honestly, it really was, especially for 2016. Like, and working with what they had. I mean, it's not much different than what we have today, but
sure, like
it really isn't terrible as far as I could tell. But I also don't like get too picky with those kind of things.
I mean, yeah, it definitely works. I don't know. I like how you said, like, if you know that it's coming, like you made that distinction.
You kind of know what to look for.
Because I remember the first time I watched it and like seeing Tarkin, I was like, this
something's just a little off.
Like that's not right. Like it was distracting to me. Same thing with Leia. But I feel like now, especially with Star Wars, I feel like they're starting to implement these CG characters more and more, and I almost feel like I'm just like adapting to it, and it's like, yeah, that's
you just got to be okay with it.
That's normal, I guess. Because I mean, I feel like 2016. I mean, that was, I feel like Rogue One was kind of what really propelled that whole idea, that concept and thing that they now do all the time. Yeah, speaking of, it released in December 16th of 2016. It had an estimated budget of $200 million, and it made an estimated $1 billion worldwide. So it
did pretty good.
It profited a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, it's coming back again for round 2, so it's going to make even more money. We aren't the only ones that like this movie. Rotten Tomatoes critic score gave it an 84%, audience score 86, IMDb a 7.8, Letterboxd 3.6 out of 5. A little lower than I would give it.
What'd you give it, a 4?
I think I gave it a 4.5, just because I can't really think of anything wrong with the movie, other than there's one thing that bothered me, and that is the weakest part of the entire movie is Cassian Andor. He doesn't really, there's not time to really develop who he is. He's kind of just there to propel the plot. Like he's supposed to be the leader, and he's trying to kill Galen, and then he gets the rebels united and everything. Like he's just kind of there to help push the plot, and he's really weak in this movie. Yeah. But that only makes me more excited for Andor. Yeah. And I know, I can think of a couple of people who have said that they're scared for Andor because the part of the appeal of Rogue One is that they don't have to care about any of these characters. I mean, going into it, everyone knew they were going to die because they had
literally everyone dies, right?
And so like, you don't have to really develop all these backstories and make us love these characters a whole lot, because everyone kind of knows what their fate is going to be. Right. And I think that's part of the genius of the writing from Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy was like the way that they introduced all these characters, and like, yes, they made them unique and they made them likable, but they didn't spend so much time diving deep into all of their inner beings. Like it was just very quick dialogue. I don't know. They very quickly and efficiently established who these characters are and why you should like them. Yeah. And and even though they were just going to die, I think they handled this the character development really, really well for 2 hours of potential screen time, except for Cassian Andor. There just wasn't time to develop him.
That's why he's getting his own show.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, we're talking about Rogue One here. Like
Right.
he was just a weak character. Like I feel like his motivations were shifting a lot. Like he in the beginning he just straight up murders a guy because he didn't give them the information, and then he is like going back and forth on, do I kill Galen or so? I don't know. I'm really excited to see how Andor explores the terrible things that they've done, because that's something that they mentioned quite a few times in the movie, and that's something I never noticed before. Like they mentioned several times, like especially at the end, like, oh, we've all done terrible things for the rebellion, we can't stop now. That is a very different outlook on the Empire's evil, so we have to stop them. The fact that it's more of a matter of, we've done so much for this cause that like I can't leave being a murderer and not have anything to show for it. That's really deep, and that's really deep, and they never really tackled that before.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for Andor in that regard.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the special look at Andor?
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I honestly, like, I saw the trailer. I mean, we all saw the little trailer release for Andor when it came out, but like, I really didn't have like much hype at all for it. Like, I knew it seems like it's going to be good, but like, honestly, like, I think it's going to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Just kind of based off that. Like, I'm really excited to kind of see it and get started too. Plus, we get the 3-episode drop right off the bat. So like,
I'm excited for that, but if you don't follow us on TikTok, you should, because we're
gonna be up all night, man.
Yeah, we do instant reactions to those videos, to those episodes, and
as they release,
if they are all an hour long,
2 a.m,
it is gonna be a long night.
We're gonna take the day off the next day
It's
after.
gonna be a long night, but you know what? I'm ready for it. It's gonna be a longer show. I don't remember exactly how many episodes, but 3-episode drop is interesting, but it's also, it gives me concerns that it's going to be a slow show, just given the fact that with Marvel series, when they release multiple episodes, it's typically because there's not a whole lot there's not a whole lot of interest until you get through those few episodes. You don't really know what's happening, and so it keeps you hooked. They give you more.
They let you get through it all.
So I'm a little worried that with a 3-episode premiere, it's going to be really slow, or it could just be the fact that they're trying to make up for the fact that this has been pushed back.
That's how I took it. That's
how
I took it. Is like, they've already pushed it so far back, and they're just not going to spread it out. They're just going to kind of clump it up and then break it down, which I'm all for. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how we'll see how that goes. If you didn't catch the Rogue One re-release and you're curious about Andor, or if you want 0 spoilers for Andor, I'll put a timestamp in the show notes. But if you do want to know what it was that we were shown, we had a little featurette with the director and Diego Luna. The interesting thing that he said, because I mean, going to Andor, at least for me, I haven't been following it very closely, other than seeing trailers, so I didn't really know what to expect. But the director said something really interesting about how, like, exactly what I was saying earlier, with like what did this character go through that got him to this pretty dark point, and that gives me a lot of excitement for Andor. I don't know. I'm excited to see Star Wars explore something a little darker. Hopefully, it definitely seems like where they're going with it. And first, we got just a quick dialogue scene. Honestly, is what I was kind of expecting to see. With Stellan Skarsgård talking to Diego Luna, and Diego Luna presumably got some sort of box for him. And then Stellan was like, "Oh, that was actually a test. You should join the rebellion." Definitely an inciting incident kind of situation, getting him into it. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the end of the first episode. Or beginning of the second, whatever. And then we get a cut, whether we go to another scene or something spoilery happens, and then we get a follow up to that last scene where it's a straight action sequence. And I have to say, that might be the best non-lightsaber action sequence that I've seen. I mean, not best, most interesting non-lightsaber action sequence I've seen from Star Wars.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think the first one. Of course, you haven't seen it.
I've never seen those.
Naturally. I'm pretty sure it's the first one where Jack Sparrow and Orlando Bloom were like fighting in like a workshop. Reminded me a lot of that. I don't know. That was a brilliant example of, like, the character development, like, really, really well. And I think that how to tell a story through action. I feel like we get so many action movies now, and a lot of these big Star Wars, Marvel stuff, it's all about spectacle. It's let's make this as big and explosive as possible. And that's a lot of fun to watch, but it's harder to keep me engaged. Gray Man is a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Gray Man was all about spectacle, but none of those action sequences really had anything to do with anything other than we want to blow stuff up.
Right.
If you want to hear all of our thoughts on Gray Man, go listen to that episode. With this, it was, I mean, there's this friction between the two characters. And then they're put in a situation where they have to work together if they want to get out alive, and seeing how they are forced to protect each other, seeing how their different characteristics and their styles. Diego Luna goes rushing straight for it. Stellan Skarsgård's like, I don't really care about the box, but Diego Luna's like, I went through all this work to get the box. So he rushes into the bullet fire. The way that like you have things falling from the ceiling. It was just, there was a lot going on, and it was a perfect representation of like how to tell a story and develop characters really quickly and efficiently. I feel like just that one scene could work you could commit that to like a short film festival and would win tons of awards, because there was a very clear beginning, middle, and an end, but it also leaves intrigue of, like they work together, they saved each other's lives a couple of times here in like a 2-minute span. Where are they going to go next? Which is intriguing.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited to watch it. Like I said, after that really like piqued my interest more than the trailer did.
Right. So yeah, like as I was talking, even I kind of connected a dot. So like at the end, I mean, Rogue One is all about. He says like, "Oh, I don't want to just be a murderer. Like we need to go save the rebellion." Same thing with that first sequence. He rushes into blaster fire to get a box because he didn't want his incognito stealth mission thing that we haven't seen yet to go to waste. So I think that gives me hope that they did take the time to like actually keep the character the same. Yeah. Because it's only 5 years apart, which
and that's what I was gonna ask. Is this like 5 years from like when he's like joining the rebellion?
This is 5 years before Rogue One.
Okay. Okay. Because I don't know, I was a little confused on like, does he like join the rebellion and it shows like 5 years of him in the rebellion leading up to Rogue One, or is it just like 5 years of his life where he might have only been in the rebellion for like 2 years or whatever prior to Rogue One, and we see like his.
I mean, the show's not out yet, so I can't.
No, I know that's I just didn't know if there was like a main like timeline, because I'm a little.
Well, this takes place starting Rogue One, beginning of Rogue One, go back 5 years, episode 1.
Okay.
So I would assume that this is 5 years of him in the rebellion. Okay. But also mixed in with lots of flashbacks from his childhood in the Clone Wars. Because he says lots of times that he's been in this fight since he was 11 years old.
Was it 6? 11?
Maybe it's 6. I thought it was
They
11.
show him as like a kid.
Well, they show him as a kid, but in Rogue One,
his family at 6 or something. He does say 11. Yeah.
In Rogue One, he says that exact line like 3 different times because, again, he was the worst part of that movie. But I think that says more about Rogue One than it does about Cassian Andor or Diego Luna as an actor, because Diego Luna does do a really good job with what he has. Great. Yeah. The fact that that's the worst part of that movie said a lot more about how good Rogue One is as opposed to how bad those guys are. Especially considering all the other Star Wars content we've been getting recently. Yeah. I
kind of agree that I do hope they are taking like more of like a darker kind of like, not like crazy dark, but like even just like thinking like Kenobi, like, or Obi-Wan, like watching that, like Darth Vader was like, that's probably the darkest Vader we've seen compared to like him at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, but that's like, don't forget the end.
No. I know. That's probably the darkest we've actually gotten, which was freaking great. Even watching that again, I was just like, dude, this is so good.
Seeing in IMAX too.
I know, dude.
Speaking of, I need to let out my inner music theory nerd a little bit, because let me tell you, Michael Giacchino needs to write for Star Wars all the time.
Yeah.
He, I think, has done the best job at writing unique music, but still keeping the same style that John Williams gave to Star Wars. Because I feel like if you ask somebody what is Star Wars, I feel like within the top 5 things, the music would have to be in there, because it's just so iconic and it's part of the world and all of that. I think Michael Giacchino has done the best. Not that others have done bad. I mean, Ludwig Göransson has done fantastic with Mando, but listening to his score and the fact that it sounds very similar to John Williams' style was really cool. And it was also interesting how he was and as a whole, Rogue One did really well with making cameos and referencing other Star Wars things without making it too vital, I guess. I feel like it could have been very easy to just be like, oh, hey, R2 is going to join you on this mission, so we can capitalize on R2. And it was just a really quick...
He was there.
They were there, they made a joke, and then let's move on. And it also made sense for them to be there because it was established that Leia was going to be in that area. Yeah. Anyway, they did a really good job of that in general, but it was cool how Michael Giacchino was able to use it. He was able to reference musical themes throughout the other movies, but because this was really before the rebellion is like in full swing, before they're going, for the final fight, like he still is able to like leave room for storytelling elements within the music to like have less developed versions of John Williams' original motifs and things. So that way, even though this was made years after, you was still able to like, if you watched it chronologically, you would still hear development within the music to tell the story, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But what made me think of all this was the Darth Vader scene. There's a really great video by James Cornell on YouTube. And even he admits that this might just be way over analyzing everything. But when we get that shot, when we have all this build up, we have, Your Father Would Be Proud, which I think is one of the most underrated Star Wars pieces of music ever.
Yeah.
And we get this big thing, and then we get this, it's called a space chord because they always use it in space and it sounds mysterious. And so we get this big chord, and then Darth Vader turns his lightsaber on, and the pitch that his lightsaber is humming at takes this really beautiful chord and it makes it augmented and terrifying and scary, which, again, this is probably unintentional. I doubt Michael Giacchino had anything to do with the tone of the lightsaber hum.
Yeah.
But if it was, and I like to believe it was, that is the most brilliant thing of, oh, hey, we have the rebels, this epic chord, and then Darth Vader turns his lightsaber on and it goes dark and gritty. Oh, that is so cool. I love the power that music has in film, and it's not utilized enough. Anyway, that's a little fun Michael Giacchino fact.
It is good. Music, I've never been like that in depth. Like I'm not a music guy. I can't read music, sheet music, don't know the chords. But dude, it really will. Like that's like when you hear those like chords and you hear those sounds like hit, like you just get like goosebumps and stuff. Like it's just like it really does make it so much better.
Yeah.
Like I could never go into that depth of like explaining. But dude, yeah.
I mean, and even little things like when he plays the Imperial March, but he when Darth Vader first shows up, which as a whole, that whole sequence was so cool. Like especially on IMAX, seeing Krennic super small in the corner, and then Vader's shadow just blown up across the whole screen, like on IMAX. Ooh,
so good.
That was so cool. But like as he's walking in, Michael Giacchino used his footsteps as the pulse.
Yeah.
So it's a march, but the way he was playing it couldn't be a full-on march.
Right.
And so we got the marching pulse from Vader actually marching.
Genius.
Brilliant. Amazing. I love it. Graham, any final thoughts on Rogue One or Andor or any of those things?
Nah, just really excited for Andor, man. Like honestly, like I said, after seeing that clip, it's going to make it so much better. Rogue One was just a straight up experience. I'm glad we went and saw it on IMAX.
Yeah,
it was great.
I'm really glad that it's been a minute since I've seen it before.
Yes.
And I'm also glad that I saw it before Andor came out.
Nice little refresh.
Yeah, nice little refresh. It was totally worth it to see it in IMAX. But you know what? You can't just like go see any movie in IMAX. You got to wait for a re-release.
Exactly.
And I feel like, I don't know if you noticed this, but like movies have been getting re-released like crazy recently. And we are going to talk about that trend. What's up with it? Why is that a trend? Is this actually making studios money? I don't know. Find out next segment. See you in a minute.
Dude, I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a lot of fun, and it's not as difficult as I thought it would be.
No, not at all. Like Anchor has made it especially easy when it comes to like actually getting our podcast out on the air. Because when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all the listening platforms. So easy getting it over to Spotify, getting it to Apple, wherever you're trying to get your podcast to.
Yeah, I think we're on like 7 platforms just through Anchor, and not even just the distribution, but even just creating the podcast. Like there's so many recording and editing tools within it, so you can record, edit, add music in, sound effects, all sorts of things directly through Anchor, and it is free.
Dude, that's amazing.
It's incredible. So if you would like to start your own podcast, just like ours, go to anchor.fm on your desktop device, or you can go on to your mobile app store and download the Anchor app. And we are back talking Rogue One. At least we were talking Rogue One. We're not talking Rogue One specifically this segment, but we're talking re-releases, which Rogue One just did. A massive re-release. I do want to clarify, just to define things right off the bat. When I say re-release, for the purposes of this episode, I'm saying that more in the sense of studios investing lots of money into marketing a re-release. Because I've been known to drive several hours to go watch things in the theater that I've seen several times, and that are like, I don't know, Rogue One, Pulp Fiction. I saw at the Alamo.
What's the farthest you think you've driven
for a movie?
Yeah.
Probably 3 hours one way. It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad for a movie that's only like 2.
I was gonna say, you're driving longer than you're watching.
If I do that, I try to watch like 2 movies, so it's more worth it.
Still 3 hours up and back. That puts you at 6 hours.
But if I watch 2 3-hour movies, then it's a 12-hour day.
That's fair. That is fair. That's fair.
Just saying.
You wake up, you watch a movie, you go to bed.
It totally makes sense. It's not ridiculous at all. So I went through and I tried to find like an actual source that has like listed all of the movies that have re-released this year within these definitions. But I guess no one really cares enough about it other than me. So I went through and I tried to remember all of like all the big ones that I could think of. So in 22, movies that have re-released in 22 that also came out in 22, I think the most iconic would be Morbius and its massive failure.
Gosh,
we've said so many things about Morbius in this decision by Sony. I almost feel bad for them, but also they made Morbius, so I kind of...
They deserve it.
Yeah, they deserve it. Top Gun Maverick had a soft relaunch.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the poster from the relaunch right now. It's interesting. Our theater did the relaunch without actually stopping any showings of
I was going to say,
Maverick.
it was just
consistent.
continuous. Yeah.
Yes. Same thing with Jurassic World Dominion. They are also doing another release.
Why? Wait, why?
Because it flopped and people like watching dinosaurs eat people.
They really don't. But also, I do understand why it flopped, because it was the same weekend as Top Gun, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was a couple weeks after, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I'm just thinking of Father's Day weekend they were both released that same
Yes,
time.
they were both
That's
at
right.
Father's Day
That's
weekend.
right.
But yeah, and we went more in depth on that in our
Yeah.
Jurassic World Dominion episode. And then another one that I'm aware of is RRR, Rise or Revolt. Have you watched this movie yet?
Never heard of that.
I try to get you on it. I'm telling you, it is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Oh, no. Yeah, is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Yeah, okay, no. I know what you're talking about. I didn't know that
It
was
is-
I know you did say it was like RR. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but not. I didn't know
It
it
is quite possibly... I would probably put it in my top 5 movies of all time.
Wow.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
Everyone should go see it. I tried looking this last week. It was in 8 theaters, and I would go anywhere to see this movie in a theater.
Really?
Because, man, it
That's
was
crazy.
incredible. And I think that's why initially released in India, and then went on Netflix, and then did release in the States. And so, yeah, they also did a re-release technically.
Nice.
Man, I really want to go see that in theaters. But here are some movies that have re-released in a more traditional sense that didn't come out in 2022. Spielberg is doing a big thing with E.T. It's in IMAX for the 40th anniversary. And
that's
then
fun.
Jaws in IMAX after the summer blockbuster season, which is interesting. But it's Jaws and IMAX, so obviously I'm going to go see it next weekend. Yeah. No Way Home is coming out in 1 week from a little less than a week, actually, this week when this episode drops. Yeah. Coming out with some extra footage. Rogue One just dropped, and then Avatar is also doing a re-release later this year.
Yeah.
You don't seem very pleased about that.
I am just curious if... Because Avengers is still higher than Avatar on the globe. No. Is Avatar still number one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's whack. I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought they took it over.
No.
Oh, then never mind. I guess I'm not worried.
Well, it's an interesting tidbit because Endgame came out and it was really close. So then Endgame did a re-release with quote unquote extra footage, and then to get ahead, and then Avatar released in Asia. They did an Asian re-release that pushed it up.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. So re-releases.
That's so dumb.
I mean, there's lots of reasons to re-release movies. You are so triggered by this.
That's so dumb. Yeah, I kind of am.
This isn't new information.
It's new to me, my guy. I did not realize that. Because I really thought, Avengers was still on top. And I was like, man, with this re-release, it's going to put them more on top. Because honestly, Avatar, for some reason, has a stupid amount of hype behind it. As far as I've just seen over the years. I don't know why. I've also never actually seen the movie all the way through.
So, I mean, you have to think in context. Because it's not a very good movie.
Are there books and stuff behind this? Is there a fan base behind this or no?
There's definitely a fan base, but
I mean before the movies.
Okay. Let me give you let me learn you a thing or two.
I just quick.
So you have James Cameron.
Okay.
And he basically said, I'm gonna do my version of Lord of the Rings, but Avatar. That's not actually what he said, but he's gonna create this whole new world with all this different stuff in it. And he did a relatively good job. We talked about music theory last segment, and I can go on and on about how he just royally screwed up with the music because he's trying to do all this Native American tribal type of style stuff. And he does a really good job with languages and all this other things, but then he uses Western music for the score, which doesn't make any sense, but that's neither here nor there. James Cameron makes Avatar, and then he releases it in 2012. Yeah. And the movie was in IMAX and 3D, which at the time was massive. Everyone thought that 3D was the future. And so everyone went and saw it a bunch of times, mostly due to the spectacle of it and seeing, oh, wow, look at all this stuff. It's popping out in front of me. That's why it was so successful at first. It has also had countless re-releases. I think 7.
I was going to say, it's been out more than once or twice.
Yeah, there's been lots of re-releases of Avatar to continue to push and get more money, which, I mean, I don't know. That's one of those things looking at it, is that the reason that these studios are re-releasing these films? Is it to make money? I mean, because that's surface level, that's what I would say it is for. I mean, I think as a whole, that's what it is for. But that leaves me to ask the question of, is it really profitable? Because when you think about how much money goes into marketing these movies, again, I'm talking re-releases that have been heavily marketed by a studio.
Right.
There's a lot of money that goes into that. Yeah. Do you think that these re-releases are actually profiting off of all of the extra press and trying to push it back out to theaters?
If you're Jurassic World Dominion, no. Any other movie, I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. But mainly, I'd say it depends. I feel like if you're hyping something up, for example, Rogue One, we're getting Andor. We got a sneak peek of Andor. It's going to interest, I feel like, a decent amount of people. People are going to subscribe to Disney Plus. They're going to watch their show. They're going to make their money back as well as kind of get a little more whatever their profits or budgets are compared to Disney Plus, because we don't get those numbers. Same thing for Avatar, unfortunately. Like I said, it's got a stupid fan base. They're going to release this one. They're going to make a stupid amount of money. But yeah, they're going to hype up that sequel. I mean, just from that literal trailer with 4 words in it, everyone lost their mind. And that alone is probably already going to do great, whether the movie sucks or not. I feel like the amount of people that are going to go see it. So I feel like it depends. With Avatar re-releasing here, I feel like it's a little bit of both. they're hyping up because they know they can make a stupid amount of money from the re-release and for the hype for the new one. When it comes to Rogue One, I just feel like it's more or less like, hey, we'll break even, but they can get more of a viewership for Disney Plus. Like, but also like if it's just Jurassic World Dominion and they're like, well, the first time around didn't work out, but let's try the second time. You shouldn't have. I just feel like that probably no, because they're probably not going to do any better as far as I can tell. I can't imagine that movie do any better. Besides,
well, let me tell you how much better it did. So I looked at the numbers from the box of numbers from last week, and these are.
I did not know you had that ready. Wow. Okay. Shoot, nice. Okay,
I'm ready.
You got me.
It's it's like a Better Call Saul. Like, oh, I'm gonna throw some little thing out of here. So these are movies that have re-released and that were under 1,000 theaters, but were at least close. Both of these movies were about at between like 7,000 and 8,000. I thought about putting Everything Everywhere All at Once on here, but it was only in like 10 theaters last week, so I figured that wouldn't be a really fair number. But yeah, so in the week of August 19th, the box office week of August 19th, E.T. made $500,000 domestically, which was down 65%, but that was its second week in re-release. The first week it did almost 1.5, so it puts it about $2 million domestically as a whole.
It's not terrible.
Jurassic World, no, I mean, just especially with E.T., I feel like E.T. has been marketed both it's E.T.'s 40th anniversary,
right,
but also we're also re-releasing Jaws. And so they're kind of doing a 1-2 punch here. And so I'm also really curious to see how Jaws numbers do. Because Jaws is a much more beloved film. I mean, E.T. is a classic. Everyone loves E.T. But like Jaws, I feel like isn't even, it goes to a higher esteem in terms of movie. First word that comes to mind is quality. I don't know. In terms of like, I don't know. I think Jaws should technically do better. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I feel like that money is going to be used well because they've been marketing both of them. I feel together. Like with Jaws, won't have to push as hard on the marketing side. But we'll see what happens with that next week. Jurassic World made $700,000 this last week, down 24% from the week prior. So I mean, it's not
doing terrible.
When you're looking at under 1,000 theaters, I don't know what that is per capita, but like it's continuing to make money. 700,000 is
doing okay.
I would love to have $700,000. I mean, it's nearly $1 million. So, I mean, there definitely is a market for it. And
I guess they're really not pushing out too much more when it comes to marketing. Like
like Jurassic World. They're not. I only know that it's a re-release because I was on a theater site and it said like Jurassic World like bites back or something like that. Like it was like a special. It was like a special thing. But yeah, so you were talking about like with like different reasons why these movies are re-releasing, right? So money is the obvious one. I don't know. We asked the question, is it profitable? Obviously, I can't really tell you that because I don't know how much money is being spent. Right. But I mean, there definitely is money to be made. Both of these movies are, I mean, at least. I mean,
it's more money than they had before they started. So regardless, it's
right. Yeah. And with the lower end of marketing on it too, like it. I mean, it's not a full marketing campaign. So like, I definitely think that there's money in it, and I mean that's why. Even smaller theaters, like local theaters, are showing older movies is because they bring audiences again. We were talking about box office numbers in general, like getting to number one. The way you do that is people have to go multiple times. When you re-release, it's been like 6 years since you've seen Rogue One, and you're like, oh, I could see that again. You're getting another, another butt in a seat, paying for a ticket, and so you're getting people to come back into it. I don't know. It's numbers and box office things I find that very interesting. So there's that. So money's one end of the spectrum, but I think the next obvious one would be to promote another film. Yeah. Right. So you have Andor is coming out. Rogue One released for Andor. It took its initial release spot. So obviously that's why Rogue One was re-released. I don't think it has a lot to do with money. I feel like money is, I don't know. You could say take this even further. You could say it is for money because they're trying to promote Andor, which means you have to pay for Disney Plus subscriptions. So
in a way,
it is all about money. But if we're looking at a little more closely, it's to promote another film to make money for them. Same thing with Avatar. They took Avatar off of Disney Plus so they can use this re-release is the only way people can watch the movie before they go see the sequel. And it's been 10 years since the original came out, so obviously people are going to want to go watch it again.
Well, I mean, you can still go to the store and buy it.
So if you go to the store and buy it, then they're still going to make money off of it.
Well, no, that's true. That's true.
They're still going to make their money on it. So
yeah.
As opposed to, we made money off you for like, you wanted to watch She-Hulk, so you buy Disney Plus. Oh, Avatar's on here too, so I can watch
Tricks on them. I don't pay for that. I just use other people's accounts.
That is illegal, sir.
Hey, sharing's caring.
Okay. So obviously leveraging the original to help out a sequel. I think we've seen that plenty of times.
Definitely.
And we're going to continue to see that. Third reason, though, I don't even know how to really like classify this and put this into one like bubble. But like, I'll just say extra footage, because I have written down here, No Way Home, re-releasing this week. And it's purely A, to make more money. Right. B, they're driving people into the theater because there is no Spider-Man 4 on the horizon. They're leveraging this as, oh, hey, there's 11 extra minutes of footage, so watch our movie again. In my case, it'll probably be at least 2 or 3 more times, but that is how it is. So yeah, like you have like promote just to release other things. And so in No Way Home is a little bit different because it's just 11 minutes of footage, probably not even in the actual film, probably before or after kind of thing. But there is a term, I don't know if it's an official term, but I call it Lucasing a movie, named after the great George Lucas, who is iconic for not leaving Star Wars alone. Have you seen the original version of A New Hope? Like,
I've seen the
original theatrical version. So yeah, I actually like have them, and they're obviously like they look a lot worse. They look like they are made in the 70s. Yeah. Because it was. And it is so much better. It does not have like ridiculous CG monsters for no reason.
Right.
Jabba the Hutt's just like a dude. You don't have Greedo going McClunky before he shoots Han Solo. Great meme, but that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Just leave a perfect movie alone and let it be perfect, George Lucas. But he is not. Well, he's the one that kind of made it famous. He's not the only one who's done it. The Godfather trilogy has been touched lots of times. Francis Ford Coppola. People hate Godfather 3. He's made his own version, and he's also touched little bits and pieces of the others. Blade Runner has been remade so many times. I don't like any of them, so you can at me if you want. I don't care. It's a terrible movie. And then Spielberg is also famous for re-releases, from messing with his former releases with Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. I don't know. Obviously, I'm just going to assume you haven't seen like 90% of those. Do you have thoughts on remaking things and like touching them after you've already said, this is it, yep, this is it, it's finished, we're going to release it to the public?
Yeah, I just think you shouldn't.
Actually, you think you shouldn't?
Yeah, no, because honestly, if you're going to make something better, just make a second film. Like if it's going to set it up, like make a sequel, just do it better.
Sure.
But
these changes aren't
drastic. Like
these aren't setting up sequels though. Like these movies are changing it. Like the Snyder Cut is another example as something I could have put on here. It wasn't really a re-release because it just went to streaming, but same idea. It was, this isn't a movie that, in that particular case, this isn't a movie I wanted to make. So here's another version of it.
I mean, I guess like traditionally, like I guess now, like you don't really get like a second chance kind of a thing. I mean, that's really what this is. Like, yeah, you can re-release it and kind of change your mistakes if you have any. Snyder Cut, I guess, kind of in a sense, but I don't know. I feel like a part of me personally is just like, it is what it is. Like that's what you made. Like suck it up, kind of a thing. Like, cause like I don't know. I hate the whole idea of like the director cut, like the fans demanding it and just getting it. I kind of hate everything to do with that. I really do. Like now that the movie they made is the movie they made. If you don't like it, suck it up. Just don't watch it again. Like that. Yeah. That's kind of all it boils down to. But like also like, I mean, yeah, with the whole point of streaming and everything, if it's accessible to cut a 4-hour movie and drop it on media, if you have the access to do it, yeah, do it. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I think it kind of depends. If it's like little like slight touches, like for like the like how like Spider-Man's doing. Like if there is extra footage, you're right. Most likely it's going to be before or after. It's not going to be in the actual like 2.5 hour to almost 3 hour movie we saw previously.
Right.
It's extras. That's how I would prefer to do it. If you were going to release it, I don't know. Think like changing a movie, like making like a different movie than the movie I already paid to see once, just kind of seems like you're milking it a little bit, or fixing a mistake that you wish you didn't do before. But I'm also like, in today's time, everyone's pushing back every other movie right and left, so you have time to fix it. If you didn't fix it then, you shouldn't fix it now. I don't know.
Okay. To play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Let's say you spend so much time, you're writing a script, you come up with a great story, you hire all these people, you make a really cool movie, you're in the editing room, and it's 3 hours long. And you can't get any shorter. And studio says, sorry, it needs to be 2 hours. You have no choice. It has to be 2 hours, or we're not going to release the movie because 3 hours is too long. No one's going to watch it. So you have to cut an hour of stuff somewhere. And then now the movie sucks because you miss out on this character moment or this plot device or all these little things you have to cut out to get it down to 2 hours. Is that the movie that you made, or is that the movie that the studio made?
Damn.
Because your argument is like, if you made the movie, it sucks to suck.
That's fair.
But is that really your movie, or is that like the studio's movie? Is it? That's the counter argument.
No, that's fair too. I would say,
because I mean that's what happened with the Snyder Cut, right? And
right.
I will say, like, for the most part, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think they should. I think they should do it sparingly and only in situations where like it is like what I described, where a studio just said absolutely no. Because like with the Snyder Cut, it didn't make the Justice League better. It still wasn't great, but it did make it better, and the precedent that it sets more specifically towards the way that like fans are the ones that had that made. That precedent scares me. Yeah. Just because like. Yeah, I don't want things to be remade for no reason. Because sometimes studios are right. Or sometimes, I mean, if you look at George Lucas with the prequel trilogy, he didn't let anyone tell him anything. And quite frankly, those movies are kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that things, should just be left alone. But I feel like there are circumstances where things can be messed with.
That's fair. And like, and to that degree, I can agree with that. Where like, if it does come down to where like, it's a studio thing where they like shut it down. The movie now made no money. Like, here's the thing: people got to get paid. Like, there are actors that aren't going to be paid. That movie makes no money. Like, yeah, that's unfortunate. So, like, I can see that where if a re-release or if the studio kind of is like, hey, yeah, like it's our fault, or like if there's I guess not big enough.
I mean, a studio would never say it's their fault.
No, I know, but it's just
you're saying.
In a Snyder Cut sense, like, sure, I still think that should have just not been messed with, but I don't know. But no, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Your opinion is your opinion, even if it's wrong. Damn. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's just something I say to everybody.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of talked about this last segment with Rogue One in general. But is Rogue One unique in the sense that like seeing it in IMAX or seeing it enhanced in a different format, and also just the re-release in general? Have there ever been times where like you went and saw a re-release and like it changed your opinion, or like the experience was elevated, and so like I don't know, are there other movies that where seeing its re-release has been worth it to you, like especially worth it to you? Like Endgame, for example, when we saw the re-release of that, I remember walking out and we were like, cool, it was still Endgame, it was still fantastic.
Yeah,
it wasn't really worth it,
right?
Are there other movies that have been worth it?
I don't think that I've seen. No.
Okay.
Honestly, like this is the first for sure. But also, like I said, I think it's now more or less we don't really see. I mean, that's kind of tricky because a lot of movies that we go see opening night, the night before, whatever it is, we are seeing in IMAX. We are seeing it in that kind of best potential format. So like I think it's gonna be potentially for these older movies that like, I mean, yeah, if I go see Jaws in IMAX, that's gonna be freaking nuts compared to what I saw at home on the smallest screen in the world, probably when I was like growing up. It's going to be totally different. So I would say, yeah, it's going to be anything kind of in that setting. I feel like, yeah, it's definitely going to be, it's going to be a better experience overall. But I would say, honestly, I don't think so. I don't think I've seen anything that's been re-released, at least in this list or something that I can think of. Besides, I'd say Rogue One was the first one that did it for me, where I was just like, yeah, this is a lot better. Like I said, I had nothing wrong with Rogue One. Personally, I got nothing bad to say about it. And honestly, I really just enjoy sitting there watching it, and I could do it again today. Like I would have no problem going to the theater, but yeah, it was just so much better watching it in IMAX. So
yeah, for sure. The one thing I will say, because I mean, I agree with you almost all the way. And the only reason I disagree with you is because I have an experience that you don't, and that is seeing E.T. In IMAX.
I saw it in IMAX.
I don't think you did.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. Hey, guess what?
If you saw E.T. in IMAX, but you haven't seen like any of the other movies on this list, just
what?
in general, you've never seen E.T.
I've never seen
at all.
E.T. No, I've never seen E.T. all the way through. I have seen parts of it.
Okay.
Like I've seen clips and stuff, but I've never seen it.
Stop trying to justify the fact that you haven't seen it.
No. I'm not justifying the fact that I haven't seen it. I'm just saying
It's not the same.
It's not the same. No.
Just stop while you're not too far behind. So yeah, I saw E.T. in IMAX. And I was telling a coworker of mine who also loves movies about it, and he was like, what was that like? And you could tell that he was skeptical of it. And I was like, well, it was really cool because seeing things really big on IMAX is pretty cool.
Especially when you're front row, you're just Batman.
No,
that
is false.
Yeah, that's a bad experience. Sorry, keep going.
I don't know, especially like with the format it was initially released in, like it's a little easier to scale it up to IMAX without making it like ridiculous or cutting things off.
That's kind of nice.
The one thing I will say though is that the technology of the 80s, specifically when it comes to sound design, the movie was not designed to be heard on IMAX speakers. Because when you're in the 80s, speakers and technology and stuff isn't quite as far advanced as it is now. And so things were a little muddier. And so like particularly things that are high pitched sounded fine. But when you put them on IMAX Dolby Atmos, it was
not going to do too well.
It was a little shrilly. It was a little rough, kind of hurt my ears sometimes. I was like, okay, we need to stop that now.
Cool it. Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like they probably should have messed with that when they were getting ready for it. Maybe it was even worse whenever
maybe they did mess with it.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I will say. There is a balance. Like, since IMAX is pretty incredible technology and it's relatively new, in the grand scheme of things. So like, there are some movies where, as a whole, it was a really cool experience, and I'm glad I got to see it in a theater. It was definitely worth it still, but it wasn't quite to the point of like seeing a Rogue One in IMAX for the first time. Like it didn't really elevate the experience all the way. So I agree with you for the most part, but there are some circumstances where it's not amazing.
Yeah.
To wrap up, are there any movies that you would like to see re-released that you would pay any dollar amount, travel any amount of time to see in theaters, either for the first time or again?
I would love to. So there's technically 3 movies.
Okay.
So La La Land is my number 1 favorite movie of all time. I've never gotten to see that in IMAX, and I just think the music and the colors, I just think it would look absolutely beautiful. I would love to see that. If they re-release that on IMAX, I would go several times, no matter how far I had to drive.
Well, while you're on La La Land.
Yes.
Because that would also be on my list.
Yes.
Because I never saw it in theaters.
You never saw it? See, I saw it in theaters, and I went with my mom and my sister and my grandma because I was the only boy in the house, and I was pissed. I was livid. I did not have a single interest to go see this movie whatsoever.
Your eyes were opened.
That changed my whole... I'm dead serious. I literally left that theater. That music was on my playlist immediately. I bought it on iTunes at the time. I didn't even use Spotify. I dropped like $15, whatever it was for the album. That was a movie. That was an experience.
I would do anything. I would travel anywhere. I would go to space. I would find a way to get to Mars to go see La La Land in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. And then the other 2, and this is one of the stupid things, but I don't know. It's more of a, like, just for funnies, I guess. I don't know. So The Room and then The Disaster Artist.
Okay.
I would love to see those 2 movies back to back. And I'm assuming The Disaster Artist actually released in IMAX. It probably did. I think it was made in like 17 or 18. It wasn't that long ago. So
just because it was made recently doesn't mean it was released.
Well, and that's true. That's true. But I actually, I think it was. So I'm not too sure. But if I could see both of those movies back to back in IMAX, that would be dope. I don't know why.
Just because I do know that does exist. I know. I mean, maybe not IMAX, but it definitely
will show it back to back, do showings like that.
Yeah,
it definitely
like,
has. But that's what I'm saying. IMAX, like just for like pure humor and just like because those movies are so whack, man. That too. Like
I would go see The Room at Alamo Drafthouse, and they did like a movie party because the way that they do the movie parties there is like
special drinks or food and
well, yeah. So they have like special stuff, but then like at the beginning they come down. Like part of like what movie parties are is like the no talking rule is a little more laid back. So like I saw Pulp Fiction, it was a thing, and so like people like during these iconic lines would start quoting along with it. I think that would be a ton of fun to see, like with a packed crowd who's just like quoting along and just having a good time with it.
I did not.
Right, like it would be. I agree. I think that would be fun.
Did they do IMAX in Alamo?
No. Okay. They do what's called the Big Show, and it's just like it's
a little bit bigger of a screen.
It's not IMAX, but it's better. Same idea, bigger screen, better speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I would settle. I would be down for that.
I think something like The Room would really depend on the crowd. Like if
100%.
Like if I would not want to pay money to go there like in the afternoon, like a Wednesday afternoon, and be the only one there. That would be like that'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
Because movies,
it was like 2 a.m. on our couch one night at the apartment, and we were watching.
Okay, that was
you and me, but
that was a different situation.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, that movie is worse than movies made today on like iPhones.
100%.
So like seeing it in a theater is not going to elevate the experience. Seeing it re-released in a theater
with a group
is only elevated because you're with an audience. Which is part of like that experience, which unfortunately I feel like isn't like, unless you are an Alamo Drafthouse, isn't really being promoted with all this. Like no one's like, part of the joy of going to a theater is seeing it with the audience. I mean, one of my favorite experiences ever was seeing Endgame opening night in IMAX.
Audience reaction, dude.
Endgame was fantastic. A brilliant movie. Opening night with all that hype was going to be cool. Seeing an IMAX was amazing. It would have been great regardless, but that experience trumps all others because of the energy in that room. Like it just, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it was so incredible. And I really want to see movies re-released more with an emphasis on like, let's get the community together and let's enjoy this pulp classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I would be all for that. That'd be great. That'd be great. Do you have any?
Like La La Land would be fantastic. See like movies that I've seen in theaters that I wish I saw again.
Yeah.
This doesn't really count, but Top Gun Maverick is one that like I need to see again in a theater. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's hard because like I have no I prefer to see things in theaters, so like I could go on and on.
Yeah.
If I had to give two, La La Land and RRR, two movies that I haven't seen in theaters that I really, really want to.
Yeah.
Movies I want to see in the theater again. I don't know.
I don't know if there's any. I have like more.
The difference between like me and you is that I typically see a movie 2 or 3 times while it's in theaters.
Right. I'll see it maybe twice.
So So for me, it's.
But I also don't watch movies back to like again and again. Yeah. Occasionally.
Okay. So I would see Everything Everywhere All at Once again.
100%.
In a theater, as long as it's like a sold out.
Did we see that in IMAX? We didn't see that.
We did not see that.
No. Okay. I didn't think so.
As long as it's like a sold out theater or at least more than like 50% capacity, I think I would like to see that in a theater again.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really.
I could definitely go for that again. That movie was straight whack, dude. One of that's up in my favorite movies I've seen. That's so good.
For sure. Graham, do you have any final thoughts on re-releases or Rogue One or any of that?
Honestly, it gets me back in the theater. And if it's a movie I've already seen and it's a movie I like for example, No Way Home, like of course we're going to that. Seeing Rogue One was such a good experience. It's always going to depend on the movie, but personally releases, whether it's hype for the next sequel or it's for the money, I'm probably going to enjoy it one way or another. So yeah.
That was a very nice way to wrap up that whole conversation. That didn't really have too much of a thread. I don't care why they're re-releasing it. I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm at the end of the day.
For sure. I totally agree with that. Yeah, really excited for Andor after seeing Rogue One.
Definitely.
Rogue One, seeing it in IMAX definitely elevated the experience. Glad I was able to do that.
If you have not, go find a theater near you and go rewatch that movie if you have not seen it in IMAX.
Yes, for sure. You've been listening to The Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex. That is Graham. What are your thoughts on Rogue One, or are you excited for Andor, or what do you think about all this re-release talk? Let us know over on all of the things: Instagram, TikTok, patreon.com/popcornhangover. Tune in next week for an episode that we will tease by saying it was referenced in this episode.
Quite a few times.
Quite a few times. I wonder what it could be. Anyway, that's all I have for you today.
Peace.